Right now, somewhere in your mind, there is a belief telling you what you can and cannot do. It sounds like your own voice, so you trust it. But what if that voice is wrong? What if the limits you've accepted are not facts, but habits? Most people go through life believing their limits are real. They say, I can't, I'm not ready, that's just the way I am. But the truth is this, your limits are learned, and what's learned can be unlearned. Power is not something you were born with or without. Power is the ability to direct your mind, your emotions, and your actions toward the results you want. And once you understand that, everything changes. Think about this. Two people face the same problem. One feels defeated. The other feels challenged. The difference is not intelligence, money, or luck. The difference is state, the emotional and mental condition they live in every day. When you change your state, you change your decisions. When you change your decisions, you change your destiny. Unlimited power begins the moment you take control of three things: your focus, your language, and your physiology. What you focus on expands. What you say to yourself becomes your reality. And how you use your body determines how strong or weak you feel. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you create. Stand differently, breathe differently, speak differently, and your brain follows your body. But power without direction is wasted. True power comes from clarity. Knowing exactly what you want and why you want it, a clear purpose turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces. And finally, understand this, your past does not control you. Your habits do, and habits can be changed the moment you decide that today matters more than yesterday. You reclaim your power. You already have unlimited power within you. The only question is, will you use it? Most people grow up believing that their abilities, confidence, and potential are fixed. From an early age, they hear statements like, you're not good at this, this is too hard, or people like us don't succeed. Over time, these ideas become internal rules that shape how they see themselves and what they believe is possible. These limits feel real, but they are not facts. They are interpretations formed through experience, repetition, and emotional moments. The human mind is designed to learn patterns. When something doesn't work once or twice, the brain tries to protect us by creating a rule. Avoid this, stop trying, stay safe. What begins as a single experience slowly becomes a belief. Eventually, that belief turns into an identity. A person doesn't just say, I failed, they say, I am a failure. This shift is dangerous because it closes the door on growth before it even begins. The truth is that no one is born with a fixed ceiling on what they can achieve. Skills, confidence, and even intelligence are developed through practice, feedback, and persistence. What we call talent is often the result of belief combined with consistent action. When someone believes they can improve, they try longer, learn faster, and recover quicker from setbacks. When someone believes they are limited, they stop early and call it reality. Limits are reinforced through language. The words people use when they speak to themselves shape their emotional responses. Saying I can't creates a feeling of powerlessness, while saying I haven't learned how yet keeps possibility alive. The brain responds differently to these messages. One shuts down creativity and effort, the other keeps the mind searching for solutions. This is not positive thinking, it is strategic thinking. Emotional experiences also lock limits into place. A moment of embarrassment, failure, or rejection can feel so intense that the brain labels it as a permanent warning. But intensity does not equal truth. One painful moment does not define a lifetime of potential. When people revisit these moments and reinterpret them as lessons rather than verdicts, the emotional charge weakens and the limit begins to dissolve. Breaking a learned limit requires conscious interruption. It means questioning beliefs that feel familiar but no longer serve growth. It means asking, is this absolutely true, or is this something I learned at a time when I didn't know better? Once a belief is questioned, new options appear. Action becomes possible again. Every breakthrough in human achievement began when someone challenged a perceived limit. What once seemed impossible became normal once belief shifted. The same principle applies on a personal level. When a person decides that limits are learned, not permanent, they move from reacting to life to directing it. At that moment, growth is no longer an accident. It becomes a choice. Power in life does not come from external circumstances alone. It comes from the ability to manage what happens inside your own mind. Two people can face the same challenge, yet one feels overwhelmed while the other feels energized. The difference lies in how they interpret the situation and how they manage their emotions in response to it. Control over the mind is not about suppressing thoughts or feelings, but about choosing which ones deserve attention and influence. Thoughts trigger emotions, and emotions drive action. When the mind focuses on fear, doubt, or scarcity, the body responds with tension and hesitation. Decisions made in that state are usually small, defensive, and reactive. On the other hand, when the mind focuses on possibility, purpose, and opportunity, the emotional state shifts. Energy rises, creativity expands, and action becomes decisive. Mastery begins with recognizing that thoughts are not facts, they are choices that can be redirected. Emotional control does not mean being emotionally numb. It means understanding that emotions are signals, not commands. Fear can signal the presence of uncertainty, but it does not mean stop. Anger can signal unmet standards, but it does not mean lose control. When emotions are observed rather than obeyed, they become tools instead of obstacles. This awareness creates space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies true power, daily habits. Thinking shape emotional patterns. Repeatedly focusing on problems trains the mind to expect obstacles. Repeatedly focusing on solutions trains the mind to look for opportunities. What feels automatic today was once practiced unconsciously. By consciously practicing new mental patterns, gratitude, curiosity, determination, emotional responses begin to change. Over time, confidence becomes natural rather than forced. Language plays a critical role in emotional mastery. The way a person describes an experience determines how intensely they feel it. Saying this is unbearable magnifies pain, while saying this is challenging but temporary reduces emotional pressure. The brain responds to words as if they were instructions. By adjusting language, emotional intensity can be lowered or elevated on demand. Control over emotion also involves responsibility. Blaming circumstances or other people hands power away. Taking responsibility does not mean accepting fault for everything, but it means recognizing that emotional reactions are personal choices. When someone decides that no external event has the authority to dictate their emotional state, they reclaim control over their energy and focus. Mental and emotional control grows stronger through deliberate practice. Visualization, reflection, and intentional focus train the brain to respond differently under pressure. Just as muscles grow through resistance, emotional strength grows through challenge. Each time a person chooses composure over panic, clarity over confusion, and purpose over impulse, they reinforce their internal power. True strength is not found in avoiding difficulty, but in staying centered within it. When the mind is directed with intention and emotions are guided with awareness, action becomes consistent and effective. This inner mastery transforms potential into performance and turns challenges into opportunities for growth. Human performance is deeply connected to state, the combination of emotional energy, mental focus, and physical condition a person is in at any given moment. State is not random, and it is not something that simply happens to us. It is something that can be influenced, shaped, and directed. When state is weak, even simple tasks feel difficult. When state is strong, challenges become manageable and momentum builds quickly. Most people underestimate how much their physical condition affects their mental clarity and emotional strength. The way a person stands, breathes, and moves sends constant signals to the brain. Slouch posture, shallow breathing, and slow movement communicate defeat and fatigue, even when no real danger exists. In contrast, upright posture, deep breathing, and purposeful movement signal confidence and readiness. The brain responds by releasing different chemicals, changing how a person feels and performs almost instantly. Emotional state determines the quality of decisions. In a state of fear or frustration, the mind narrows its focus, limiting options and encouraging avoidance. Decisions made from this place are often reactive and short-term. In a state of confidence and curiosity, the mind expands. Solutions become visible, and risk feels manageable rather than threatening. The same person can make completely different choices depending solely on the state they are in at that moment. Focus is another critical component of state. What the mind locks onto shapes emotional experience. When attention is fixed on loss, mistakes, or imagined problems, emotional energy drops. When attention shifts to goals, progress, or potential, energy rises. This is why two people can experience the same situation and walk away feeling entirely different. Their focus determines their state, and their state determines their response. State also influences communication and relationships. A person in a strong state speaks with clarity, conviction, and presence. Their words carry weight, and others respond with trust and attention. A person in a weak state may speak hesitantly or defensively, unintentionally signaling insecurity. This affects how messages are received and how opportunities unfold. State, therefore, does not just shape internal experience, it shapes external results as well. One of the most powerful aspects of state is how quickly it can change. Unlike personality or circumstances, state can shift in moments. Music, movement, breathing, and visualization can alter emotional and physical energy almost instantly. Learning to change state on demand allows a person to perform consistently, regardless of external conditions. High performers understand that they do not wait for motivation or inspiration. They create the state they need before action. They condition themselves to associate certain movements, thoughts, or routines with peak performance. Over time, this becomes automatic, allowing them to access confidence and focus even under pressure. Mastery of state turns life from a series of emotional reactions into a deliberate experience. When a person learns to control their state, they gain the ability to influence their actions, decisions, and outcomes consistently. Performance stops being dependent on mood or circumstance and becomes a matter of choice and preparation. Every human experience is shaped by three constant forces working together: focus, language, and physiology. These elements quietly determine how a person feels, what they believe is possible, and how they act in any situation. When these forces are left uncontrolled, life feels reactive and unpredictable. When they are directed with intention, personal power increases dramatically. Focus determines what the mind notices and what it ignores. The human brain cannot process everything at once, so it selects based on what it believes is important. When focus is fixed on problems, mistakes, or limitations, emotional energy drops and stress increases. When focus shifts to solutions, lessons, or opportunities, the emotional experience changes instantly. The situation may remain the same, but perception transforms, opening the door to better choices and actions. Language gives meaning to experience. The words used internally and externally act as commands to the nervous system. Saying something is impossible creates tension and shuts down creativity. Saying something is challenging keeps the mind engaged and searching for answers. Subtle shifts in language can dramatically change emotional intensity. The brain responds to words as if they describe reality, even when they are only interpretations. Internal dialogue is especially powerful. Repeated phrases become beliefs, and beliefs become filters through which all experiences are processed. If a person constantly tells themselves they are overwhelmed, the body responds with fatigue and resistance. If they tell themselves they are capable of learning and adapting, the body responds with energy and focus. This is not self-deception. It is intentional conditioning of the mind. Physiology is the fastest way to influence emotional state. The way a person holds their body, breathes, and moves sends immediate signals to the brain. Slump posture and shallow breathing communicate threat or exhaustion. Open posture, steady breathing, and deliberate movement signal confidence and control. These physical signals change hormone levels and emotional responses within moments, often before conscious thought catches up. What makes these three elements so powerful is their interconnection. Change one and the others begin to shift automatically. Adjusting posture can improve focus. Changing language can alter emotional state. Shifting focus can influence breathing and movement. This interconnected system means power is always accessible, even in difficult situations. Most people wait for circumstances to change before they change how they feel. Those who understand these principles reverse the process. They change focus, language, and physiology first, and emotions follow. This creates momentum and clarity even when external conditions remain uncertain. Consistent control of these elements builds emotional resilience. Instead of being at the mercy of moods or events, a person develops the ability to stabilize themselves quickly. Over time, this control becomes habitual, creating a baseline of confidence and presence. By mastering focus, language, and physiology, individuals learn to shape their inner world regardless of the outer one. This mastery turns uncertainty into opportunity and pressure into fuel for action, allowing personal power to be expressed consistently and effectively. Clarity is the force that turns energy into progress. Without it, effort becomes scattered and motivation fades quickly. Many people work hard but feel stuck because they are unclear about what they truly want or why they want it. When direction is vague, the mind hesitates and action becomes inconsistent. Clear intention, on the other hand, gives the brain a target. And once a target is defined, focus sharpens naturally. Knowing what you want is more than having a general desire. Wanting success, happiness, or freedom is not enough because these ideas are too broad to guide daily decisions. Clarity requires specificity. It means defining outcomes in concrete terms so the mind can recognize progress. When goals are specific, the brain begins filtering information differently, noticing resources, opportunities, and connections that previously went unseen. Equally important is understanding why the goal matters. Purpose is the emotional fuel behind action. When the reasons are weak, discipline must work harder to compensate. When the reasons are strong, action feels natural. Purpose connects effort to meaning, transforming tasks into steps towards something personally significant. This emotional connection sustains momentum during moments of difficulty or doubt. Clarity also reduces internal conflict. When values are undefined, decisions feel heavy and confusing. When values are clear, choices become simpler. The mind no longer debates every option. It measures them against a known dire. This reduces stress and conserves mental energy, allowing consistent progress rather than constant reconsideration. Direction influences confidence. Uncertainty creates hesitation, which weakens belief in one's abilities. Clear direction builds certainty even before results appear. The act of knowing where you are going generates confidence because the mind senses alignment between thought and action. This alignment creates forward motion, which reinforces belief through experience. Clarity shapes habits. Daily actions are easier to maintain when they serve a visible purpose. Without direction, habits feel like obligations. With direction, they feel like investments. The brain is more willing to repeat behaviors that are clearly connected to desired outcomes. Over time, small, consistent actions compound into significant change. Clear goals also improve resilience. When obstacles appear, clarity prevents distraction and discouragement. Instead of questioning whether to continue, the mind focuses on how to adapt. The goal remains stable even when the path changes. This flexibility allows persistence without rigidity, maintaining momentum despite setbacks. Direction does not eliminate fear, but it gives fear less influence. When purpose is strong, discomfort becomes a signal of growth rather than a reason to stop. The mind accepts temporary struggle because the destination is meaningful. This transforms challenge into commitment. Clarity creates internal alignment. Thoughts, emotions, and actions begin moving in the same direction. Energy that was once scattered becomes concentrated, and effort becomes effective. With clear direction, progress feels intentional rather than accidental, and momentum builds naturally through focused, purposeful action. As we've explored today, unlimited power is not about luck, talent, or circumstances. It's about mastering you. Our mind, directing your focus, choosing your language, controlling your state, and aligning your actions with clear purpose. Every breakthrough, every achievement, and every transformation begins inside, with the choices you make and the power you claim for yourself. The power you seek is already within you. It's waiting for your decision, your commitment, and your courage to act. Step into it, own it, and let it guide every thought, every emotion, and every action you take from this moment forward. Thank you for being present, for opening your mind, and for daring to imagine a life without limits. May you leave today with a renewed sense of strength, clarity, and purpose. Use it, share it, and remember, the only limits that truly exist are the ones you allow to remain. Thank you and goodbye.